Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This is my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, February 14th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, SOXS. Talked about this one in yesterday's video and how it was starting to come to life, and maybe this thing was starting to show some signs of strength, and you got that much more follow through today with a nice gap up, a little bit of a pullback here, and then recovered nicely. And overall, higher highs and higher lows, and that's what it's all about. So first adjustment I'm going to make is just move this area of support. Yes, $4.20 is still a level of support, but it's not really relevant anymore. And from a presentation standpoint, and not wanting to risk causing clutter and confusion because there's lines everywhere you look, let's try to keep this as clean as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this area of support now right up to that level at $4.40. So 440 would now be the ideal level. And I'm going to call it a do or die level, but pretty important because if the price were to come down here and then break down below it, at that point in time, what you would have is the price having gone essentially right back to where it was. And that's not a sign of, any sort of genuine strength where the price makes a nice move up and then goes back to where it was. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that is why I would say $4.40, very important level of support. In regards to areas of resistance, pretty straightforward. All eyes going to be watching that pink line up there, which on my chart denotes a very well known, the very famous 200 period moving average. So certainly keep an eye on that. I suppose in the very near term, you could do something like this where you draw a trend line right here. And that's completely valid. My one little critique of that would be, but even if the price does break above that trend line, I mean, not that far away, you have that 200 period moving average. So in my opinion, you might as well just stay focused on that level. But all in all, good day today. Next one here, ticker symbol OMH, and nice start to the day with a big gap up and then a pretty rough pullback, but this still is all within a bullish context. It's not like it's gone down there and even closed the gap, or worse yet, dropped below the gap close location. So yes, now I should also note that there's a little bit of perspective that goes in that. If you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yeah, from that angle, the chart is terrible. But assuming you care about the bigger picture point of view, technically speaking, this is still a bullish chart. In terms of areas of support moving forward, if this does continue to pull back, next level to keep a very close eye on is that purple line there, 50 period moving average. As the name implies, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So it'll get more and more relevant as time goes by. But if this pullback does continue, then that'll definitely be a key area of support to keep a close eye on. In terms of areas of resistance, nope. Yeah, from the naked eye, that should be halfway decent. There we go. There we go. All right, so keep an eye on that level right there. I think that's a trend line. Maybe people aren't using that point for it right there. But as far as, people using that point and that point, I can see that. And sometimes that's what it's all about, finding lines that you think a lot of people have drawn, because then you can get some potential self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you like to play more so turnarounds and breakouts, I definitely keep an eye on that resistance trend line right there. Next one here, ticker symbol PLTR. And I will say, all things considered, pretty strong day. If you're not aware, the markets got absolutely smashed today. And yeah, this one didn't have a green day, but I wouldn't call this one smashed or destroyed or anything like that. In fact, made a nice bounce up. Sure, it's rolled back over here a little bit, but all things considered, I would consider today a pretty impressive day, given the general context of things. In terms of areas of support now to move forward, I would definitely keep a very close eye right there on $23.30. Let me change that to green. And you can see quite a bit of a track record behind that level. You can see some general areas right there acting as support, right there support, right there support. So if the price does come down more, of course, no guarantees, but there is a track record here of this area providing support and creating bounces. So worth at least keeping an eye on right there. In terms of areas of resistance, still have the upper level up there at 25.60. But before we really put too much focus on that, the near-term level is now going to be that purple line, which is based on the foundational rule that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. And that's what happened here. Price gap down below it, bounced up, and then former area of support resistance. And then several times right here, former area of support acting as resistance. But like I said, all things considered, I'd say today was pretty healthy. Next one here, MARA, and the chart is still perfectly fine, assuming that you're not some sort of day trader that bought right there and you're looking for some sort of bigger move today. But from all other angles, yes, it gapped on today. Of course, nobody enjoys that. Nobody wants to see a red day, but not every day can be green. And as long as the price builds higher bases, that's what it's all about. And that's exactly what it did here. If you watch yesterday's video, this would mean a little bit more, but talked about that level right there at 24.25. And check it out, opening 30 minutes, came down there, found some support, got a nice bounce from it right there. So from a big picture standpoint, price is still remaining up above 24.25. Now, one note, that 50-period moving average tomorrow, it is going to move up above 24.25. So when that happens, the 50-period moving average actually will take higher priority, and then 24.25. So just keep an eye on that dynamic. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that level, and we'll keep this as clean as possible. Next overarching level from the resistance standpoint, right up there at 27.75. Next one here, AMC, and the level that I drew into place in yesterday's video, that resistance trend line right there, power of charts, gap down, strong move, and then you can see what a coincidence, right around that area of resistance, that trend line is where the price struggled, and then eventually got pushed back down. With all that being said, in fact, let me just get rid of that. Big picture standpoint, everything is still perfectly fine. In fact, if you just want to use that purple line as a trend line itself, so we use that as a trend line, and then, in fact, let's just keep it all one color. There's essentially a little wedge pattern here that has formed. And the big question moving forward is, as you can see here, this wedge is running out of space. So who's going to win this battle? Are the bulls going to get the break to the upside? Are the bears going to get the break to the downside? That is a big question mark moving forward. And I think that's what most eyeballs are watching, so you can have some potential self-fulfilling prophecies. But yeah, AMC's got the wedge here. Who's going to win the battle? Let's see what happens on Wednesday. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online webinar that I'm offering here in a couple of days. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box you can use to click to get signed up. Or if you're watching at my website, there's an area there on the page where you can use to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free webinar. Next one here, ticker symbol BGLC, and all things considered, good, healthy day today. Bit of a pullback, so once I can keep reiterating it, but that's where my, from a presentation standpoint, a little tricky because there's multiple perspectives I'm trying to juggle. But yeah, if you're a day trader and you bought right there and your plan is to buy and sell within 10 minutes, yeah, from that angle, the chart looks really bad. But assuming you care about the grand scheme of things, nice little pattern here has formed, so let's get this mapped out. So bottom of the pattern right here at $1.24, change that to green, and then as far as a resistance is concerned, whoops. There we go. We have this area right here, and then to keep it all one color and hopefully easier to see. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big move up. For you golfers out there, let me put the golf hole down here. This would be a bull pennant pattern. So if you like stocks down below $5, you like bull pennant patterns, certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, DBGI, and I like this one quite a bit as it's got what I think are some well-defined levels that you got to think a lot of people are watching. The first area, just as a general location of support, right down here, give or take around $6.10. Like I said, that could go in either direction. But just broadly speaking, you can see a couple of lows right here went slightly below. A couple of lows right here were slightly above. So the middle ground there, right around that $6.10 mark. So I think that's an area where, again, no guarantees, but could I see the price coming down there and then get another bounce like it's done, a few times before already? Yeah, that seems like a reasonable conclusion that could happen. And then in terms of areas of resistance, again, I think a lot of people have noticed these levels right here, drawn something like that. So you have essentially a little bit of a wedge pattern here that is formed, but you got to keep in mind the overall context is bullish because of the gap up. So we'll see what happens, but if this thing can kind of continue to consolidate out and then get the move back to the upside, I can see that break creating additional buying pressure for sure. Next one here, ticker symbol BMR, and a very interesting dynamic here going on. Put this trend line right here into play in yesterday's video, and you can see the price has actually gotten a bit of a break through it. Now, the kind of confusing part is, okay, it got the break, but apparently the market doesn't really care because it's not like there is any sort of bigger move upwards, but it did still get the break, and that's what a watch list is all about. Finding unique, finding interesting situations, and not rushing out and randomly buying stuff, but watching it. Now, maybe you're looking at that saying, no, I don't find this interesting at all. Now, I find this very interesting because, again, kind of almost a mystery. Oh, broke the level, but not a whole lot. But is there going to be some sort of delayed breakout tomorrow? Maybe. Now, to be fair, maybe not. But again, that's why it's just worth keeping an eye on if you like these sorts of scenarios. So did get the break of that line, but not a whole lot of drama or anything like that with it. Not a lot of fireworks, but sometimes fireworks can be delayed. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to get rid of that level right there because from the support standpoint, I think the most straightforward one to just keep an eye on is going to be that purple line there, 50 period moving average. But all things considered, interesting day here. And this one has a ability to move very quickly. So if you like stocks that are very volatile, then I would certainly keep an eye on this one. Next one here, ticker symbol TSLA, Tesla. And overall, rough day here. To be fair, the markets had a very rough day. But also, to be fair, last 30 minutes, check it out. In fact, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see the last 30 minutes. I mean, very, very impressive bounce right now underway for Tesla here. Market closes in about 5 minutes, so this bounce, this candle could, very realistically get, that much stronger. In fact, look at the 1 minute. I'll drag it over here. Look at the 1 minute on Tesla. What a big move that was right there. So again, the 1 minute meaning each one of these represents 1 minute worth of time, depending on how new you are as you watch these videos. But anyways, so last 30 minutes, very nice right now. And I mean, the power of charts. So I'll turn this into a quick plug. Go get signed up for that free class. Our chart's perfect. They're not. But I mean, this was mapped out yesterday. Check it out. Bleeding. And then it went sideways right at that level. And now getting the nice bounce from there. So again, just perfect classic example of the power of charts. In terms of updates, that former area of support now needs to become an area of resistance. So if this bounce does continue, then 185.50 going to be that initial area. Going to go ahead and get rid of that level up there. And then if there is a much bigger bounce, the level to watch right there is you basically have both these levels right on top of one another. You have the 50 period purple line, 200 period pink line, essentially, like I said, same value right there. Granted, that's maybe a little bit kind of irrelevant right now, given the price is still way down here, but it is Tesla. It can move and move relatively quickly. So if it does get up above 185.50, then keep an eye on those moving averages. Next one here, ticker symbol TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ market. So if you believe the NASDAQ market as a whole is going to go up, this will also go up. And we have ourselves a very impressive last 30 minutes. So like Tesla, makes sense why this one's also moving up. But we have a big showdown coming. Check it out. It is moving upwards, but it is now approaching that pink line there, 200 period moving average. And you now know, you've heard me say it a couple of times, that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So that is the big question here. Going into tomorrow, is this going to act as resistance? Is the price going to get smacked right back down? Is there going to be a breakout and then there's even more momentum that comes? I have no idea. Nobody knows that for sure, but it does make a lot of sense to think that a lot of people are going to be watching that dynamic, which once again brings about that talking point of self-fulfilling prophecy. So in terms of resistance, definitely keep an eye on that 200 period moving average right there. If the price can break up through there, next key level would then be right around 57.90. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these levels as they serve their purpose for now. And then in terms of levels of support, nothing fancy or complicated here at all. Literally just a question of where did the bleeding finally stop today? And essentially it stopped right down there around 55.65. So again, basic question there, where'd the bleeding stop? Stopped essentially right there before this nice bounce has followed. So definitely a crazy day today. Definitely a very interesting final 30 minutes of the day. So let's see if this 30 minutes of action carries into next week and builds upon that moment, or not next week, but carries into tomorrow on Wednesday and builds upon the momentum. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here and want to learn more, then certainly go get signed up for that free webinar. It'll be soon, Thursday, February 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do a couple things. Hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your watch list for tomorrow. Tell me what you traded today. But those two things help out. Communicate to me that you're enjoying. And as long as I know you're enjoying, I'll continue to put in the time and effort to get these top 10 videos out to you. So thanks for watching. Go get signed up for that free webinar. Have a good one.